What was the size of your department? How many students were there that were doing sports back then?
We were probably doing 1 or 2 casts an hour. So when you're breaking it up over, 7 to 7P, 7A, 7P, we would have anywhere from 12 to 15 people typically rotating in and out, but you always had your 3 or 4 guys that you could really count that would take on extra shifts that really would emerge. And that's what happens, I think, over the years, and what happens right now is that you've got your executive staff, and then you've got the folks who want to aspire to that one day, or just the folks who really are into doing this stuff. So you get a good core nucleus. If you could have anywhere from 5 to 6 guys and girls that really wanted to be a part of it and could drive it, they would feed off each other, and they made each other better. Everybody made each other better at KTXT when I was there. We competed against each other to see who could do the best anything, and it showed, and it was really neat, and it shows on where a lot of those folks are today. Luckily, fortunately, most of them out of the media and doing real jobs in real professions and earning real money. Sadly, some of us, like ourselves, we're still involved in the media.
Yes.
I just can't get out. It's like being in the mafia.
I know one of the local radio owners, and I've told him, I said, you do know that this is a terminal disease. You'll never get away from it. And he's okay with that. He's actually come to grips with it, and he's learning to live with it on a daily basis. But you were speaking about that competitive spirit. I know for a fact, having worked with you in the commercial radio side, that continued on. I can remember some of the days at KFYO where I was taught by you and several others that the signal on the air was only as good as the worst person on the microphone.
Which was typically me on a given day back in the early 90s.
Now, I know that KTXT's had a long history of broadcasting various tech athletic events. I know that you were not the first to broadcast tech-based basketball, but give us a little bit of background on how your involvement with the Lady Raiders came about.
Almost completely by accident. It's like I said, I got my first on-air shift because basically I was home and I had no life, and I was the only one to answer the phone back when a phone would ring. So
and you actually answered the phone.
And I answered it. Yeah. It was just staring at it. It's going to keep ringing. I might as well answer it. So Brian Gordon was the sports director at the time. Laura Merrill, I believe, was the station director. We're going back into '88 or right. Thereabouts, right in through there. So it basically just started doing sportscasts, sports updates, working with Brian, working with Danny Vaughn, another guy who was really good there. Peter Cross, Peter Welpton now, if
right.
you want to know his real name. I think we can say his real name. Just kind of learning the basics. And then what you would do is you would go out and you would shadow the sports director if they were broadcasting games, whether it was baseball. Spring of '88 was my first tech baseball game, which they lost one of those games to Hardin Simmons. Mm-hmm. Imagine that, losing to Hardin Simmons today. But you would pretty much shadow them. You'd carry the equipment, the old Marty. Just a massive amount of equipment to go 200 yards back to the station
right.
on a microwave, and set up and learn. Your first job was just to learn how to set up everything and run everything. You'd produce it. Then maybe you'd be lucky and you'd do color. Now, the first time I do play-by-play for a Lady Raider game, I was supposed to be doing color with Gordon, and something happened with the equipment, the Marty. Something was going on. So in those frantic, hurried moments of coming out of a timeout, out of a break, and going back to action, all of a sudden Guido rips his headset off, just points at me and says, "Do it. I've got to work on this." So he's over there, yeah, just keep doing it. And I'm like, a person with ball shoots ball, and that may have gone in. I don't know, And my first play-by-play doing that was literally just thrown into it because Brian Gordon was working on something that was broken.
And yet
it was
happened.
A blast.
You did it. The show came off. The show had to go on. It continued, and you pulled through. What was it like, after KTXT, you're starting to do this for a living. You're actually, professionally calling games for what would later be a national championship team. Yeah,
that was what was really, great about getting started at KTXT and being able to do so many things so young when you're 18, 19 years old. And by the time you're a junior, you're working outside the station.
Right.
You're working for commercial stations. You're doing this. You're getting paid, gas and hamburger money, but you're getting paid. I remember the first time Jack Dell ever, had me do a game on KFYO back in the '90s season. I filled in for him. And, he hands, hey, you might need some walking around money while you're in Dallas. Here's a $100 bill. I'm like,
thanks, Jack.
That's $100 divided by 12 packs. I may or may not make the game, So by the time I'm a senior, things have gone so well, I'm working full-time professionally and have to leave KTXT after my junior year.
Yeah.
I came out early. I signed early.
Lost you to the pros.
Yeah.
That's
We'd
always
be mad now. How can you leave early?
exactly. That's always the story here at the collegiate level. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. It's College Radio Day 2016 here at KTXT. We're talking with Ryan Hyatt, a KTXT alum, a Texas Tech alum, and just an all-around nice guy. We're going to go to some music right quick, but we've got some other alumni to make contact with. Ryan, I hope you'll stick around.
Tee it up. I want to hear you hit the post on this thing. What are we going into?
Let's see. Well, I had to actually scour the database because I was looking for music from back in the day.
That's not possible.
We don't have a whole lot of it, but I do have a little bit from what I can remember of some of the alternative back. We got some Chemical Brothers, Let Forever Be, right here on the Raider.
Not actually brothers.
No, not exactly. Lisa, you there? I can hear her. She probably can't hear us. I know we're streaming on Facebook Live right now. So thanks for joining us via Facebook. We finally got the buttons worked out. Thanks, Josh. I got too much stuff going on. Lisa, are you there? Lisa Ray. I hear her. I don't think she can hear us. She'll probably hear us once we go live.
Yeah. Goes into program.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got her there.
Hi.
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Is it super echoey? Let me find a different place.
We're talking.
I'm in a stairwell, so it sounds kind of echoey. Not going to go in there. They're having a meeting in there. Yeah. All right. Uh-huh. Oh, wow, like VoIP? Mm-hmm. Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Yeah. Okay. They're awesome. I wish it would kind of get cold around here. It's still like 80 degrees every day. It's so weird. Right? Oh, wow. Y'all are cooler than we are. So weird.
I guess I'll jump back in here. So, welcome back, Facebook audience. We're talking with Ryan Hyatt. I've got Lisa Ray Gerard, one of our alumni, on deck. So, we're going to have some fun.
So, who all do you have on air now? Yeah. Oh, right.
Oh, gosh.
Joe Weaver didn't jump in on this? Huh. And Rob didn't either? Or Jim?
Making money.
That's right.
Oh, whatever. I have a full-time job, and I'm doing it. I'm standing in the stairwell of my full-time job. I know Joe's traveling right now. I think he's in Oklahoma for a few weeks.
Well, he's involved in the petrochemical business, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So are you looking to talk to people that stayed in media?
No. Just
okay.
College Radio Day, we're just talking with former KTXTers, and if you care to share how KTXT had an impact on your career, that's okay. That's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. I got to switch the mics back. We're going to be going back to the radio side. It's always funny how that works.
Okay.
So just stay loosely, so we'll be right back with you.
That's cool.
You know, I never learned how to be a DJ, and yet I'm teaching students how to be DJs. It's kind of funny how that works. Anyway,
the irony is not lost.
It is not lost. But let's see. I have to back announce what we just heard, as if you didn't already know. Chemical Brothers, Let It Be, led off that segment, followed that up with some Blink-182, What's My Age Again. You're tuned to KTXT FM Lubbock, the Raider, 88.1. It's College Radio Day. You're listening to a special show that we don't normally have on, but because it is College Radio Day, I guess we'd have Undercurrents. Our eclectic music program would normally be in this hour, but we're talking with KTXT alumni on College Radio Day about their experience, what it was like working in college radio in yesteryear, for some of us, last century. But we've got Ryan Hyatt in the studio.
It hurts when you say it like that. Don't do that.
I know. I hate to go there. We're also joined on the phone by another former KTXT alum. Lisa Ray, are you there?
I am here.
Great. She's joining us. Where's home? You're in Denver, is that right?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Now, Lisa Ray, you preceded me at KTXT by a number of years, and of course you were on the tail end of, I believe, Ryan's tenure. When were you at KTXT, and tell us a little bit about what you did? What were some of your roles at the station back in the day?
I started in the summer of '93 as a sub jock, and then fall of '93 rolled around, and I got a regular spot. So a regular spot would mean a once a week 3-hour shift, and I was the Sunday 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. shift was my first time on air. So I had fallen in love with radio when I was 15, and I decided when I was 15 I was going to be in some form of music, and I was also a clarinet player, so I was either going to be making music or, selling music on the air, basically. The band thing didn't quite go in the direction I wanted it to, so I went back to the other version of playing music on the air, and had high aspirations of being, one of those big city jocks, DJs. In the business, we call ourselves jocks, right. Just jockeys. And so I started at KTXT, and at that time, in 1993, the grunge movement was really taking off, and that was the new alternative sound in radio. The hair bands were dying off, and this new kind of underground Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, all that music was really hitting the scene, and I was so fortunate and glad and lucky to be in a place like KTXT that had the freedom to play those kind of bands on the air. And so I also got involved with a local concert promoter in town, and we kind of had a gig going for a while where we were bringing in a lot of the alternative bands in the clubs and bars there in Lubbock. And a few of those really took off big. And it was kind of cool to be in that position where I was bringing these bands both physically live to town as well as playing their tracks on the air. And they were getting airplay across all sorts of college radio stations across the country.
I'm glad you mentioned that about who you guys are bringing in, because I don't think you guys realized even at the time the impact you were having on the Lubbock music scene with KTXT, and it continued for years and years. But what you guys did, the stars kind of lined up. The music was right, the venues were right in this town, and you guys are the right people to do it. And I can still remember going to shows that KTXT absolutely owned, and no one else was going to get, and you guys were phenomenal at it.
Well, I can tell you, Ryan, my partner was Chris Brand, who you went to high school with, so we have to give him full credit on this. But he was the genius that came up with the very first package of shows out the gate called 5 in July, and that was in 1993. And I was working for a local entertainment magazine in town, Center Stage, with Vic Magri, who is still involved in some of that in Lubbock. And, I got hooked up with Chris, and it just kind of took off from there, and I had the connection into KTXT. So here we were, starting this new music revolution in a very conservative town that, even Chris had tried to make connections with some other commercial radio stations in town and got, talked to the hand. Got stiff-armed, said, no, we're not interested in that. So we felt very fortunate to be in a place with KTXT and with Dr. Kinghorn, who was open-minded enough to let this happen, And Derek, I can let you explain who Dr. Kinghorn was, but anybody that's worked at KTXT in the last 20 years probably knows that name.
Yes.
In silent reference most days, since I will be the first one to tell you I did not replace Dr. Kinghorn. No one can do that. I don't even think I succeeded him. I drew the short straw, and here I am. And I was telling Ryan this earlier. I said I never in my wildest days would ever have thought that I would be over KTXT FM. I think I had a total of maybe 10 minutes airtime. I did a news practicum on KTXT back in the early 90s, and that was probably my sum total experience at KTXT. And now here I am, supposedly running the place, but I don't do that. The students do that. That is the tradition. Dr. Clive Kinghorn was the faculty director involved with KTXT over much of its existence. He actually originally came to Texas Tech, I believe, in '73.
Sounds about right.
He was, I'm trying to remember where he got his master's, but he was at Tech for just a few years, then went back to get his doctorate, I believe, at Kansas. And then came back, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s. And then the gentleman who took over for him when he left in the 70s was Mark Norman, and I'm still corresponding with him. Mark went on and established several radio stations in Oklahoma, and now he is the interim director of Oklahoma Educational Television. So Mark went on to great acclaim, but we certainly miss Clive. Clive passed away, this would be 2 years in January. And he was beloved by all, hated by a few, but beloved by all because he made you earn your stripes. He definitely put you through the ringer, and he was just such a great guy, a wonderful mentor. Of course, I got to know him really well when I worked at KOHM. That was the other station he put on the air. But just wonderful, marvelous working with him. And, of course, my some managerial experience in working in broadcasting is basically not to screw up what Dr. Kinghorn got started, and that's about the most sage advice I've ever set myself as far as management goes.
Yeah, you said running KTXT. That's like saying you run an ocean wave. You don't. You surf KTXT when you're on top, and you just hope it doesn't swallow you up.
That's right. But it's been fun. I can't tell you how much fun it's been being involved in just comparing shoe sizes with the shoes that I'm trying to fill from such great faculty that have been here over the years. Lisa Ray, what else? What was your favorite thing doing at KTXT? What were some of your experiences in terms of things that you really couldn't look forward to enough as far as 88.1?
I think it was really a lot of the friendships that were developed between us, and it was so neat to see the diversity of students that were working at KTXT and were there. We were not all media majors, you know. One of our jocks was a psychology major, and one was a petrol engineering major, and one was chemical engineering, and we had a station manager that was electronics engineering. And I don't know why I brought up all those engineering ones, but that's just what came to mind. But it was so interesting to see the diversity of people, and when you come from a passion or an interest from all those different backgrounds, that comes out in a friendship. It comes out in the camaraderie. It comes out in the programming that you're putting on the air. My favorite parts of KTXT were being in the music at that time and the friendship and how we all had that shared passion for it. And we all were, let's do this and let's do that. And we had the freedom to do that. And so I eventually got an executive student position there and was the executive director of traffic and promotions. So basically it was my idea to make sure that, or my responsibility to make sure that we were following the rules of the SEC and to come up with promotional ideas. What can we do to get KTXT out into the community? And one year we had a float and homecoming parade. We did a lot of concert pre-party, post-party type stuff. One of my most memorable experiences was, I think it was probably 94. The Smashing Pumpkins came to town, and it was just when Siamese Dream had been released. And they played at the Fairground Coliseum, which we all know is just the world's best venue for music, not so much.
Right.
And it was a great concert. Afterwards, we met the band, and they were completely, had nothing to say to us. It was probably 5 of us KTXTers there and maybe some people that have won, backstage passes from some promotions. And the only thing that they talked about was, isn't Buddy Holly from here? Didn't he die in a plane crash? That's the only thing they had to talk about. It was like, wow, okay. But yeah, that was a fun experience. From KTXT, when I graduated in 96, I moved over to TV and was working at KMAC for a while, KAMC. And I also worked in some commercial stations downtown. I worked for KLLL, and I worked for B99, which was 99.5. And I worked for Z102. I'm not even sure if those stations are still the same call letters in Lubbock anymore, but so I did a little stint with that for a while, and then I moved over into TV, and I worked in TV for 2 years. And I've always been a behind-the-scenes person. I've never been on-camera type person. I think after a while, my aspirations in radio were to end up as, the big jock in Las Vegas, because that's where I thought the best market was at that time. That didn't quite work out, and that's okay. I was totally happy with where I was at. I moved into TV and started doing production for advertising and marketing, and that was about in 1999. And at this time, the Telecom Act of 96 was really going full steam ahead.
The
and
dark
I think
days.
the merger between KLBK and KMC
right.
was the first dual-operated station in the nation, if I'm correct.
Yes, they were Texas-sized.
Those were dark times. I was working there at the time, and it was talk about a chaotic period.
It was a very rough transition. Nobody knew what was going on. It was just kind of chaotic. And, at this time, the Internet was starting to kind of bubble up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try out this Internet thing. I'm going to see what this is all about. So I left TV to go into digital media. And that's how I landed in Denver. Is at this time I decided that I needed to go to grad school and get a graduate degree, a master's degree in digital media. So that's what I did. And I came up here to the University of Denver and got a master's degree in digital media. So from there, I have become an independent web developer and an online marketer, and that's really where my strengths are, in that I do online marketing. So I'm finding all these different digital channels to still sell the message. And, part of that background comes from being at KTXT and learning how to talk to people and being innovative and thinking, trying to think, I hate using the phrase outside the box, but I guess that really works. Just trying to always think of a different twist on things and a different solution to things. And now we're full-blown into social media and how we can use that to sell the message. And that's where I'm at now. So now I do all the digital communications for the Regional Transportation District, which is the bus service here in Denver. And we run, thousands of bus lines. We're a city of 8 million people, and we are serving all these constituents for public transportation, both with light rail and commuter rail and bus services. So that's what I do now, is I manage all the digital communications. So that means website, social media, what else do I do? Video campaigns. We're starting to really go more heavy into Facebook Live. We do social media contests, and just always trying to think, how can we sell that transit message in a digital platform? I help out. I don't do the app development, but I do help out with app development, so how people can use their phones to access transit data. all sorts of interesting stuff like that. So
now, Lisa,
that's how I got here.
Denver's not Vegas, but it sounds like you're doing okay. You're being able to move on since college radio. What advice would you give students in college radio today, or the students here at KTXT? What would you tell them?
Don't be afraid. If you have an idea, talk to somebody about it. Don't let past histories or not knowing the full story hold you back, right? So if you have an idea but you don't know how to implement it, talk to somebody, because there's somebody out there that will help you figure that out, right? If you feel like you're innovative and you've got a new, fresh spin on something, then do what you can to make it work, and don't let fear hold you back, right? I've always felt that although I had such an awesome, amazing time at KTXT, I've always looked back at that time and been like, man, I wish I would have done this better or more, or I wish that would have, I wish I would have applied myself better while I was there. And I mean, yeah, I did a lot, I guess, but I've always wished that I would have done more, and I wouldn't have been afraid to put that contest in place or figure out how to get this thing to happen or put this show on. So that would be my advice, is that don't let fear hold you back. And I think a lot of times maybe people have an idea, but they don't know how to put the idea in place, so they don't feel like they need to bring up the idea because they don't have the full story. Yeah, don't let that stop you. An idea is not going to grow if you don't water it. So just plant the seed and then water it. And that means bringing in people that you know, or talking to people, or doing your homework, doing some research, trying things, experimenting. So, yeah, that would be my biggest advice, is don't let fear hold you back.
And, of course, that's the exact opposite of what I've been trying to do, is to put the fear into the students from a management perspective. But, no, that's extremely sage advice. One of the things that really I appreciate working with students here in the 21st century with all of this fancy technology is they're teaching me the cool things.
Yeah.
Because I'm too old now. I don't do social media. I'm still learning about it. I'm still learning how to use my cell phone as a phone, and they're using it for cameras and videos and producing all this stuff. They always have great ideas, and they're always trying to bounce things off of me. And the one thing I try to avoid saying, and I think Kinghorn was this way as well, Dr. K, you don't say no. Let's think about it. We're not going to do it right away, but let's think of a way where we can actually do that. And you're right. Some of the most innovative things that we have, and I think take for granted on 88.1 today, were because of students like you and your predecessors that had some great ideas in the past that are now, they're the accepted norm, and they've gone beyond tradition. They're standard operating practice with what we do. So very sage advice. What else would you tell everyone about on this College Radio Day?
Man, just be thankful you have what you have there in Lubbock, because it's an amazing station. The history behind the station is awesome. I mean, it's the Phoenix, right? It finally died to ashes, and then it came back to life, and it just, that right there shows.
Much like our Tech defense this season, but anyway.
Just really celebrate what you have, and recognize the diversity and the open-mindedness and the cool factor, right? KTXT has always had a cool factor. And I remember even, living in Lubbock for so many years. I left there when I was 25, 26. And even like years after I had left KTXT, and people would meet me and they'd be like, oh, yeah, you were on KTXT, or I remember, That's always just been so weird for me. But, yeah, I mean, it's just always had a cool factor. So really just embrace it and celebrate it, and be thankful that you have that in your environment.
Lisa Ray, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Sure, thank you.
And class of 96, was it?
Yeah, I graduated in December of 96.
December 96, wow.
At least that's what the paper on the wall says.
We're not going to question that. Well, thanks for joining us today. We truly appreciate it. We're going to let you get back to whatever you had going on before. But thanks for taking part in our College Radio Day experience. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you for doing what you do and carrying on. I really appreciate it. And I love listening to you guys online.
Great. Check us out. We're streaming through our website, ktxtfm.org, all day. And on Facebook, too. Thanks, Lisa Ray. We appreciate it. Take care.
Yep. Have a great day.
42 minutes past the hour, 18 in front of noon. I think our segment's going to go a little long because I know the students are trying to set up for a remote, so I'm going to help them out just a little bit. We're going to go to a little bit of music. She was mentioning grunge back in the day, and that what was it? The new grunge? I can't remember how she described it, but it seemed to sum up the music of that period. I've got some Nirvana. I dug up some Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit, and we'll follow that up with some Alanis Morissette. Great music from a greater period of time back in the day here on 88.1. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Oh, my. Yeah, I'm here. Woo!
Okay, we're getting set up for our
I'd be closer to
call.
one if I do.
Cool.
Probably not. I'm
Melanie
not going to have some stuff right now. Tag doing some different things.
We're talking to our Facebook audience.
But I'll try to get there by 1 if I
implemented
can.
Facebook video this semester at KTXT, and we can't play the music, so during the music we have to talk to the Facebook audience.
Oh, okay.
You're a part of that right now.
Very cool.
Oh, okay.
Where's home?
Just knock out anything you got to knock
Where's
out.
home? Austin, Texas.
Ostentatious. I love it.
Yeah.
Will do. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. We probably got about 6 more minutes of music.
Cool. Every time you stop talking, it blasts Nirvana in my ear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'll just hold this button down and keep it from blasting in your ear.
Okay, because I can't tell if you're streaming anything or not. But so that's great. You've got so Facebook people can tune in and listen in while the music's playing, and you just kind of got to be careful about what you say. Then I guess.
Well, as I learned earlier this morning, there's some things we don't say on the radio that are okay to say on Facebook, even though we may want to keep it PG-13.
Of course.
But, yeah, it's frustrating because the copyright law, the broadcast is not a problem. Where the problem lies is when we start involving the internet, and that's where we run into great trouble. We're okay to stream our signal on the internet, but when it comes to on-demand content, so if you do Facebook video and then you're done with it, it'll post to the wall, but then it becomes an on-demand product. That's when we run afoul of the federal copyright law. We have to clear all the music in that case. It's really a big pain.
Yeah.
Facebook actually covers us because if they detect that there's content in there, they'll delete the video for you. We just don't want to be a repeat offender, otherwise we won't be able to stream. They'll just keep you from streaming at all. But so that's how we learned. We learned out the hard way. We can't have copyrighted material in there unless we own the rights to it, and so we try to talk to our Facebook audience during the breaks like we're doing now. Rob Simpson was telling us about an audio problem earlier. Rob's down in Houston, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we appreciate you coming to talk to us today about College Radio Day. When were you at Tech?
I was at Tech from 1998 to 2003, and I was at the station from 99 or 2000 to 03. I can't quite remember. Basically, my freshman year was the only year I was not at the station.
So you were here during the transition when it moved under student media.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Let's see. Was it Nina? Was that Nina Wilson? I think that.
Actually, or it was. Oh God, what was his name? It was the guy before her.
I don't remember.
Porter? Was it Blake Porter?
Blake Porter, yes. Okay.
Was that him right before her? And he ended up leaving that position early, and then Nina stepped in. But yeah, that was during that time, and it really went from this nurturing Dr. K role to this money-seeking student media role. Okay. And it was difficult to transition to because not a ton of stuff changed, but we did just event after event after event to raise money, and it just didn't ever seem like it was enough for them. Right. Because they kept talking about how our debt was just so big, so cumbersome for them. So it went from a real nurturing environment into just kind of opposite, and definitely felt like the stepchildren at that point,
It was an interesting transition. I can grant you that. That was the reason why they decided they shut it down in 2008 was because of money reasons. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Well, bear with us. I'm going to let you enjoy what's left of Miss Morissette, and I've got Ryan Hyatt live in the studio, and we'll come back to you right after this song ends. Okay?
Okay. And was there any questions I should be prepared for?
Yes, you must be prepared to answer the following.
Okay.
Who's going to be the winner against Texas this week?
All right.
Well, no, I'm going to ask you hard questions like where's home, what's your name, when were you at KTXT, and what did you do, and what was your experience? That's really it. So.
Okay.
Average airspeed of a swallow? Laden,
yeah,
unladen?
A laden swallow,
yes.
Carrying coconuts.
African or European?
Exactly. All right, Facebook, we have 2 minutes, 18 seconds left in the song. I know, I was holding down the button to talk to the caller, so it was muting my mics. I know, we're learning a lot. Yeah, Ryan could talk, they just couldn't hear mine.
I could hear you through his mic.
Oh, but you could hear him okay?
Well, he wouldn't really.
Yeah,
well, I know.
Do anything.
See, Ryan's smart. When the mics are on, he shuts up. I don't.
Melanie just fine.
I know. Yeah, okay.
So.
Red lights scare me.
Oh, boy, I tell you. So anyway, College Radio Day 2016. Y'all are going to go until 8 o'clock tomorrow. That's the plan?
That's the plan.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to be sleeping safe. I'm going to turn off my phones. I'm going to disconnect my cell phone. If you need me, then you'll just have to come get me. But so what do you think, Ryan? Crazy or what?
It's fun.
That's the one
thing.
I
like the setup. Like, how you're able to integrate everything together. And that's the key.
I tell you, it's
you
not.
You can't do all the social media while you're doing whatever else you're doing. You're not doing anything.
I know. It's this, and that's where we're at. That's what the day and age requires. We're no longer just radio. Back in the old days, it's all we worried about. Are we on the air?
Yeah.
Now it's the radio signal, very small part of what we do. It's if we're not online, then we don't exist. So. I also want to shout out to Savannah Gilbreth. She's been running our cameras this morning.
She is Master Control.
She is Master Control on the interwebs. She's being assisted by her able assistant, Josh Robinson, who's in charge of our Mass Comm TV program here in the college. And a cast of thousands behind the scenes making things go, including that little rat in the transmitter running his heart out to keep us on the air.
So we used to find out if we were on the air or not. You could take the level readings or whatever, but what we'd do is we'd go on and give away a pizza, and if anyone called, we knew we were on the air. If no one called, we're off the air.
Those were the days. That's right. Those were the days. We've got about 20 seconds left. I'm going to switch the mics back over. Thanks for tuning in to College Radio Day here on the Raider 88.1. Welcome back to the Raider 88.1. We've been talking with KTXT alumni on the College Radio Day 2016 broadcast here on the Raider. Special programming throughout the day in anticipation of all things good and well about college radio. We're glad that you're tuned in, especially for our Facebook audience. Thanks for tuning in as well. We've been talking about how things have changed, and one of the great additions to our radio station is the fact that we're all on the internet now. Social media is reigning supreme, and we're taking full advantage of that as well. Let's see if I've still got her on the line. Joining us now is Melanie LINDAHL. Are you there, Melanie?
I am.
Awesome. She's calling. Actually, we called her, but she's talking to us from Austin, Texas. She was with the radio station at the turn of the century. I like saying that, at the turn of the century. You were with the station back in 1999 through 2003, and that was That was, I guess, when Dr. Kinghorn retired, Masscom had to give up the radio station, and the administration moved it under the auspices of student media. So KTXT was run for a while under the student newspaper here at Texas Tech, and you were there during that transition period. Is that right?
Yeah, I was on exec staff for that whole time. Yeah, and it was interesting. It was an interesting transition because Dr. K was so wonderful and nurturing and created an environment where you felt safe to create and have fun and try new things. And it kind of went from that to just kind of more of a debt consolidation and to trying to make enough money to help student media pay for the radio station. So we did event after event after event, and we came up with things like the date auction and the film festival and the Battle of the Bands and stuff, and just really tried to pump as many events as we could to kind of get enough funds to keep us open.
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask, and you can tell how well that's going. Not very. Yeah. What was your favorite thing about KTXT back in the day? You obviously you said you came in as a freshman and you learned about it, and then you survived the transition. But what was it that drew you to the radio?
Well, really, ultimately, it was just the type of music that was being played, and I knew somebody who was a DJ there, and so that introduced me. And then I got to be the promotion director.
So friends got you addicted.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of how it happens? And
yes.
I think I just blame them for my whole life is probably what I'll do. But, there were some pretty big things, like 9/11 happened while I was there. And I came to work one day. I was production director at the time, and I came into work right after the towers had fallen.
Right.
And the computer director was in tears, and he just said, the towers are gone. I said, you're probably not thinking correct. I don't think you're correct. And so, we kind of listened into the media, which was kind of a lot harder to do back then. And sure enough, that was what was happening. And he said, we have to do something. And so we couldn't just keep playing music while this tragedy was happening. So we were able to patch into one of the local networks who might have been patching into a national network. I can't really remember. So we did that for the day. And it was nice to be able to provide the kids with just the news that was happening and unfolding that changed everyone's lives. So that was a really big thing that happened while I was there. But ultimately, just the day-to-day, it was just the sheer amount of freaks and geeks that could come in and feel very welcome and get really excited about music. And we all shared, similar interests, but completely varied backgrounds at the same time. And it was just a unique family that got created there. And I think those friendships will definitely make the most impact on me.
Melanie, you mentioned, the big news. Of course, that was a major event for most of us was 9/11. I've been researching the history of KTXT and its predecessor signal here at Texas Tech, and it's interesting. The station has a very long track record of broadcasting major events, not just in national or international history, but local history as well. Of course, when JFK was assassinated, the station, along with a whole lot of other media outlets, was devoting a lot of coverage and attention to that. And the fledgling news operation that the station had at that time went to great pains and efforts to bring that information to the student body. I've also thought it was interesting. You know what the most important issue was at Texas Tech in 1968? Take a guess.
No. Okay.
Was it racial integration? No.
I know this.
Okay.
Was it Vietnam?
No.
Ryan says he knows. What was it, Ryan?
The name change.
The name change.
Was it going to be Texas Technological
Texas
College or Texas State University or Texas Tech University?
That is correct. He is correct. And
there were riots.
There were riots.
Well, Lubbock-based riots.
For Lubbock, they were wild and raucous.
Shut down the Waffle House.
And you know how long that was going to last. One of the very important things that KTXT did during that period was they actually went and broadcast from the state capitol the name change legislation. And it was a big deal. And, of course, here was KTXT right in the middle of it, bringing information live. No other Lubbock media had that kind of coverage, but KTXT, through some of the university connections, was able to get in there. I was actually talking to the gentleman who helped arrange a lot of that. So, yes, when you mention about, KTXT matters in terms of a news and information perspective, that is a very long and well-established tradition that we continue even to this day. Tell us what was your role at KTXT? What did you do? Did you have a DJ shift?
Yeah, I was one of the hosts for the Weekend Breakdown with ET, and I was also production director and then promotion director. So I kind of had a larger role there over a few years, and you started out on a really, really terrible shift, the overnights or the early mornings on the weekends. So you get through those, and then you ended up with a night. I think I did power lunch or something on the Friday, and then I got my specialty show.
That's one of, I think, our listeners and I know many of our students now just don't appreciate was we didn't have computers back then, and even to your tenure, computers were just starting to come on the scene. But when I tell my current students, back in the day, we had 50, 60 DJs, and they were just amazed. How did you have that many students? And I said, well, think about it. We were also overnights, and I said you have to understand that radio was such a big deal back then. That you'd go to the open invite meeting, they would give you a little bit of training, and then the student operations person would basically tell you, okay, Melanie, your air shift is going to be 2 a.m. on a Thursday morning.
Yep.
And you were grateful. It was like, wow, awesome, I'll be there.
I'm on air.
Exactly, because you were on the radio. It was a big deal.
Of those no computer times or very minimal computer times, we actually did pop in CDs and certain things, right? So when those types of machines broke or just all of a sudden stopped playing your song, which did happen, you really got that skill set of being to impromptu speaking, just like able to think on the fly and get on there and say whatever you needed to say while you were multitasking and fixing the CD or whatever you were doing.
Did you have the wonderful experience of working with carts? Or were carts gone by the time you came on?
We had them still, but we didn't use them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She knows of what you speak.
I know what those objects were. Fortunately, we never had to do it. Because in our case, it was whenever the cart deck ate the tape.
Yes.
And then you would pull the cart deck, the cartridge out, and then the guts were still inside the machine.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, these look like big old 8-track tapes,
right?
Yeah,
going back in the 70s and 80s.
And of course, if it ate the tape, then you were screwed because it got wound around the rollers and all of that in there. So yeah, you talk about CD problems. We had cart deck problems, phono problems, reel-to-reel misfires. Gosh.
And I remember the microphone always would just droop down. It was like it was depressed.
The springs, the springs on the mic boom were weak. Yeah, we know about that.
You felt like you were bending, and you're like, I'm not standing up straight anymore. So you kind of just worked your way around like through rubber bands and simple MacGyver techniques.
Oh, well, tell us more. What were some of your other experiences like?
Well, I met my husband through there, actually. So
is that right?
He was a musician. He was with Watermelon Fast Bass. And so we asked him to do a show. I was setting up a show, I think it was like a beach bash or something, an outdoor event. And he was one of the bands that played, and I met him through there. And supposedly, as the story goes, he was my radio groupie. He really liked my show.
And he was your number one fan?
Yeah, and he recorded them on cassette tape, and we still have them.
That's cool.
Air checks,
I'll listen to them. Yeah,
scary but cool.
Yeah. And so that's how we met. So I guess that was probably one of the better experiences of becoming a DJ, was that I met my future spouse and got hitched. So
that's our goal at KTXT is connecting people, making connections that last a lifetime.
Well, we did do the date auction, so you never know what happened from that. I don't know.
True. That's true. What advice would you give our students today?
Texas Tech students today,
or students at KTXT. What would you tell them today?
Students at KTXT. I would really say just definitely be your genuine self, and I feel like the KTXT that I knew accepted you regardless, and that was the most comforting thing about that place. So it was just being able to be yourself. You fit into a group there, even if you didn't fit into a group anywhere else. And so that is definitely the message I want to get across.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today. And what is it you're doing now in Austin?
I'm a web designer.
Web design. I have no idea what that is. What is that?
Well, it is. It's technology, so your
Yes.
carts probably aren't going to satisfy their.
It does not involve carts. I love it already. This is great. Well, Melanie, we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk to us on College Radio Day, and of course, it's been a pleasure hearing how things were during the transition from the last century. I always like to say
I
that.
know.
But we appreciate you, and hopefully, our students will take some of that advice. And we appreciate you being on our show today.
You're welcome. Garfield out.
Thank you so much. That was her radio name, was Garfield.
Nice.
Back in the day. Anyway, 2 minutes past noon. I've got one more guest we're going to be getting in touch with, but a quick music interlude while we do that. Here's a little bit more recent tunage. Soundgarden, Live to Rise here on the Raider 88.1. Don't go away. I think he's there. My next guest is on the phone.
Yeah, I'm here. I hear the music. Yeah, I've been listening in on the broadcast all morning.
Oh,
Sounding good.
I think I see what you're doing there. Can you hear me now? Can you still hear me? He can't hear me until I go on program.
But they can hear you on Facebook.
Oh,
while
okay.
you
All right.
push
So
your
I'm just. Oh, I see. Okay. Maybe if I just do this, this is better.
There you go.
Okay. Yes. The
Hey!
message finally gets through. I see. Let me bring your audio down a little bit. Okay. So Jackson, for our Facebook audience, Jackson is one of my former students. He was. You were our music director. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago or so. I think it was about.
Well, that's when you graduated. You were music director before that, though. It's been.
Yeah. So I started volunteering in like 2012, I think, or late 2011, and then took over music director after Matt left. So I guess that was about 2013 or so.
Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Wow, time flies.
I know, really, seriously.
Time flies. Well, let's see here. I got to check. I'm not good at multitasking. I've got a little bit more, about a minute left. So we're having to talk to we can't play the songs during our Facebook video, so we talk to our Facebook audience, which is what we're doing right now. So I'll have to switch the microphones back. But I wanted to give you the last crack. I've been talking the last hour with various KTXT alumni, and you made the offer, and I thought I'm going to get Jackson on too. So we're going to go probably to about 20 past the hour or so, and the students are going to have some live stuff in the studio going on. So
Cool.
Anyway, I appreciate you checking in with me, man.
Yeah, of course. Wouldn't miss it. I'm wearing my my KTXT shirt right now.
Sweet. Hey, take a selfie and post it to our Facebook page, would you?
Will do.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to switch the mics back. I got about 30 seconds left, but don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with you.
All righty.
Thanks, man. Okay, stand by. We're going to go back to the radio. Well, 6 minutes past noon, you're listening to a special program in celebration of our College Radio Day efforts here at KTXT FM. The students have planned a broadcast marathon. We got started at 8 o'clock this morning, and I've been helping them out by filling in a little bit, also talking with KTXT alumni. And it's been wonderful talking with everyone. Of course, my thanks to Ryan Hyatt, who we heard from, Lisa Ray, and I'm forgetting her name, Gerard. Lisa Ray Gerard, and also Melanie. We just got finished talking to Melanie LINDAHL from Austin. And joining me now, I hope he's still there, is Jackson Wisdorf. Jackson, are you there?
Yes.
Awesome.
The far west Texas isn't very good. I'm off yet.
Okay, yeah, I can hear it's already breaking up. Jackson is one of my former students. He was music director here back in 2013. And of all places, he stayed in radio. He did not take my advice. He stuck it out, and you're now working at Marfa Public Radio way out in far west Texas. Is that correct?
Far west Texas. Yeah.
Well, Jackson, how's it going?
It's going great. I've been here for a little over a year, about a year and about 3 months now. And I'm now a full-time staff member at Marfa Public Radio.
So it's safe to say that Marfa is going to be home now. Is that right?
Yeah, at least for a little while.
Well, great. One of the things that I've tried to keep up with some of my former students, and of course Jackson's one of them, and I've noticed from your Facebook post that you're still doing some interesting music segments there on the public radio out in far west Texas. Tell us about the show that you're doing.
Yeah, so I've got a couple. My real job is hosting, local hosting, all things considered on Marfa Public Radio and West Texas Public Radio. We run 2 radio stations out of our little building that used to be a former service station here in Marfa. So that's my real job. But then I get to do some fun shows. I do a new music show with our office manager Sarah Melanson on Tuesday nights. And then on Wednesdays, I have a show called The Midnight Snack. It's a nice late-night show, unpredictable, and you never know what's going to happen, I suppose.
Right. Now, you were music director here at KTXT. Tell us, of course, your experience has been the most recent, but what was your experience like working here at 88.1?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I still remember the first day that I came to the station. Back when Marissa Trevino was the operations director, and I heard a little underwriting segment at the top of the hour. It said, like, if you want to volunteer, just come on by the station. And it was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. So yeah, I swung by the studio and was on the air about 5 minutes later, and then I kind of just realized that I really enjoyed it. I just stuck with it.
Now you have an ear for music. What is it that a good music director, especially at a college radio station, what is that you're looking for, or more importantly, listening for, in terms of the music that you play?
Yeah, well, it's college radio. The best part of it is it's not really bound to any traditional standards. You can play whatever you want for the most part, and we're lucky enough, or I was lucky enough, and I guess Andy Koki right now, who's the music director, is lucky enough to get just a plethora of different music from all over the country, from all over the world. So really, it kind of just boils down to what you think sounds good. That's what we always did whenever I was making the charts. It was just, well, that sounds cool. That's a cool song. Right. We should play that. We should promote that one.
And this is a tradition that you've carried out even to your current job, correct?
Yeah, still doing the new music show. When I was at KTXT with Zach Curtis, I'm sure you remember Zach DG.
Yes.
Yeah. So we started the New Music Monday afternoon show, and I was just lucky enough coming down here that there was a new music show, so I just kind of hopped on. I already had the experience for it.
Now, do they have CDs, or do they still use quite a bit of vinyl down there?
We actually have, we have 2 turntables in our studio.
Wow.
Pretty much the only thing that we don't have is an 8-track player and a cassette player. We have everything else to play whatever you want. But yeah, a lot of our DJs are spinning vinyl, and including myself.
Well, I can see you spinning vinyl. I think vinyl's making a comeback. 8-tracks and cassettes, I don't care if those come back. I really hope they don't. I'm glad to see that those are finally gone. But, no, it's good that vinyl's making a comeback and that y'all are taking advantage of it. So what's life like in the big city down there?
Oh, man, I wish it was the quote-unquote big city. It's great, Marfa's, it's a very unique town. It's kind of like an artist colony. There's a huge art scene. There's always a lot of really cool people coming through, artists, musicians, and just general, just people with interesting stories to tell. So it's great having a radio station down here because it's more of just a radio station. It's more of like a community resource. Since out here, there's still a lot of people that don't have internet or readily available internet access.
Right. Uh-huh.
So I mean, the radio's a saving grace for people that are living out in rural areas just to either hear the news, what's going on locally, and even weather reports on stuff like that. You'd be really surprised, and a lot of people are really surprised that when I tell them that internet's kind of like a luxury out here. So I mean, this station, it is a resource, it's fun to be in this little, this big, small town. It's only about 1,100 people currently living in town, so you kind of know everyone. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse because everyone can hear you on the radio all the time. So,
so you're actually you're a bigwig in your small community because you're on the air.
Yeah, on the air every single day. I mean, doing all things considered, 3 to 6 every day. And then, so yeah, it's still weird. I remember the first time someone ever recognized my voice when I was working at the Raider. It was really strange. Is that like Market Street or something like that, like in the checkout line?
Right.
And now it kind of happens all the time.
So what's the reaction that people, oh my gosh, you're Jackson Wisdorf?
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it's, oh yeah, you're that guy that reports on things that I don't like. You're
Jackson Wisdorf. Yeah,
you're Jackson Wisdorf. Yeah, but it's always great. It's always great, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for KTXT. That's for sure.
Well, I correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't I write you reference letters for the Marfa gig?
Yes, you did, and it was one of the reasons that I got hired. So yeah, I started off. It was for an internship.
Right.
So I was an intern for about a year, and then got hired on. So it's just the Raider continuously helping me out.
Well, it's kind of ironic because 10 years of my media management career was spent managing the local NPR station here in Lubbock, and then I got involved in student radio and college radio, and you got your start in college radio, and here you are now working in public radio in Far West Texas. It's kind of an interesting twist of fates.
It really
but
really
it's great.
Is.
So Marfa, I understand Marfa, it's kind of a hangout for the artistic and the wealthy, the elites and whatnot. Have you met a lot of famous people living there?
Yeah, even just about a week and a half ago, I got to meet Jarl Mon, who's the CEO of NPR.
Oh, wow.
That was pretty cool. And like I said earlier, there's always like an ever-evolving cast of people coming through this town. It's the way that this town kind of is set up is it's kind of meant for that. People will come out, artists will come out, musicians will come out, and just kind of spend a little bit of time because it's off the grid, it's far away. You can see the stars wherever you are in town, and it's kind of like that inspirational factor. And so, yeah, there's always a lot of people coming through town.
What kind of athletic events do they have there in Marfa? I'm just curious.
Some six-man football.
Six-man football, of course.
Six-man football, and it's awesome. I've never experienced it. I've never seen a game, and I went to the homecoming game this year, and it was quite a sight to see. It was really, really awesome.
Well, six-man football in West Texas, that's a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know that now.
This area, yeah, all the schools and school districts. That's the only kind of football that gets played, and it's really cool to see. It's very, very interesting. A lot different than your just like traditional American football.
Oh yeah,
for sure,
absolutely. Well, Jackson, what advice would you give students in general, but especially students working at KTXT? What advice would you give them?
I would say when you graduate, you may feel like you're like on top of the world. I don't know. That's kind of how I felt because, you know, being music director and it was a huge position and a lot of fun, and I had all the control. I felt really good. But I would say take it slow. It took me a while to get into this internship, and it took a lot of denied requests for jobs to get it going. So just don't give up. Just keep your head up and just keep looking. Especially if you want to continue in the world of media, whether it's like commercial media, public media, or whatever. You have to apply yourself. You really have to go out there and be ready to be rejected a few times before something will eventually happen.
It'll eventually come around. That's right. Well, Jackson, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the show with us today and being back on 88.1 for a brief moment. We certainly appreciate your efforts in the past, and look at what you're doing now.
Keep it locked to the left.
Keep it locked to the left, he says. Yes, so much. Well, Jackson, we appreciate you joining us, and stay safe, and tell everyone in Marfa we said hello.
All right, will do. Thanks, DG.
All right, take it easy. Take care, my friend. Jackson Wisdorf was the music director at KTXT back in 2013. One of my students. I can actually take credit. I'll take full credit for whatever success he's enjoying now. Started out as a DJ and worked his way up and got an internship there at Marfa Public Radio way out there in far west Texas, and now he's one of the permanent staff. It's one of those rags to riches stories we like to talk about. College Radio Day 2016 on KTXT. We appreciate you tuning in. I've got a little bit more music, and then I think the students are going to be back finally to take it off my hands, and I think we've got some live music that'll be coming up next. You want to stay tuned for that. Of course, this is just a small smidgen of our broadcast marathon plans that the students have in store all day today, throughout the night, and in the early morning hours, and they're hoping to wrap up by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So lots of things planned as part of our College Radio Day experience here on KTXT, and we're certainly glad that you're tuning in and along for the ride. Don't forget, you can listen to us on the radio at 88.1, online through our website. You can listen to our audio stream at ktxtfm.org. Click on the Listen Now button, and you can listen to our audio stream. You can also check us out on Facebook. Facebook Live Video, even now, is streaming. You can also type comments. You can text us, and we can respond. It's one of the nice ways that our audience can actually get back in touch with us in real time, and we would hope that you would take advantage of that on Facebook. Our Facebook handle,
Raider 88.1.
Is it Raider 88.1? Okay, I always want to say KTXT, but I think it is Raider 88.1. The KTXT is the alumni group, and you might want to check them out too. There's a lot of great people posting stories about their experiences having worked at KTXT back in the day. So check it out. Coming up on 20 minutes past noon, we're going to go back to some Jerry Lee Lewis. Great Balls of Fire right here on the Raider 88.1.